Hey, I haven't done a video here in a while, so figured I'd do one. I'm gonna do something that a lot of people struggle with. I'm gonna do some parachutes. Um, we're gonna tie a blue-winged olive parachute. That guy right there. Well, focus. That guy right there. Yeah, a lot of people struggle with parachutes. I know I did for the longest time until I was taught the proper way to do it. But anyways, get into the pattern. I've got a size 12 in the vise dry fly hook. I'm going to take just a gray hackle for the tail. Measure it out to where I want it. And wrap it back. And I'm using 8/0 white. I like white. I use white on a lot of my patterns just because it's translucent when it gets wet. Okay, now this is what I'm going to use for winging material. It's just Antron. It's fluorescent green. You can use that. You can use any color you want. Later I might do a video on a cattail wing, possibly. Yeah, so what I do is I go underneath the hook and give yourself lots, and you want to start that about a third back from the eye, basically just after your thorax, where your thorax would be. Do some figure 8 wraps around it. Come on. There we go. Come on. Stuff can be a bit of a pain to work with, as you can see. Been tying these all morning and haven't had a problem, but you know how it goes. Start a video and yeah. So once you got that standing up, basically just some figure 8s, couple in front, couple behind. You're gonna lift this. What I do is I trim this off to about the same size. And there, I got enough for another one. Now for the post, I like starting behind it, come up to a vertical plane, and just do some real soft loops. Like I've got a lot of slack in there. And then as you pull tight, don't pull too tight though, or else you'll just do what I did, make it all unravel. But just give it a little bit of tension and it'll all seat itself. Even if you pull down with it a bit. And just keep working your way up until you got a good base going on. And just remember, however high you wrap this thread is how much hackle you're going to have on there too, so keep that in mind. I like quite a bit of hackle on mine usually. This has got to be the hardest part. With the little trick that I'm going to show you for wrapping the hackle, it's going to be slick. That's probably high enough. Now work your way back down. You don't need to do touching wraps on the way down like everybody says you have to. There, I'll bring that in so you can kind of see there. Yeah. Actually, I'll move this a little bit forward, closer to you, so you guys are a little closer. Now if I can just get this to stand properly. There. Alright. Now I'm going to work my way back. Again, keeping a smooth body. And you're going to take BWO. I prefer turkey BWO, but I'm all out. So I'm stuck doing it with goose. It's kind of a pain, but it is what it is. Spin your thread clockwise to cord it up and work back to the tail. Then bring your thread forward up to basically the base of the parachute. Now I take Super Lock by Superfly head cement. It's just what I got left, and you can use Sally Hansen's. I prefer this stuff for these anyways. You're going to take a drop and put it right on that post, both sides, on all four corners, and that's going to stiffen everything right up for you. Now the fun part, because these are goose and not turkey, is you're up the BWO body. Normally I'd use hackle pliers, but these goose BWOs are really fragile. I broke like 12 of them today, so I've just been doing it by hand. Get it 3/4 of the way up and catch it if I can. There we go. Catch it and tie it off. Alright, now we're going to take our hackle wherever it went. Oh well, I'll just grab a new one. So I'm going to measure or gauge a hackle. There we go, there's a 12. Give yourself lots on the bottom. Now you're going to strip off one side. You're going to strip off as much as you figure you need and a little bit extra. Now, when I first started tying parachutes, I absolutely dreaded it. There, I got 3/4 of the hackle done, stripped on one side, all the way up. And you're going to go on the side of your hook, on the side where you tie it off, and then you're going to wind up. Oh, I just pulled it out. It happens. Got it tied in there. You don't need to go all the way up to the top yet. Capture the end. Alright, one little thing I forgot to do is I like to put a little bit of solar res on them. Just on the quills, just to harden everything up. So if fish tooth gets in there, it doesn't break them. You can do this at the very end, but then you risk hitting the hackle fibers. And just give it a quick little zap. Alright. Now we're going to come back to where we ended the body, and we're going to take some olive dubbing. This is super fine. You can use squirrel, you can use rabbit, doesn't matter. I just like the super fine. And form a fairly decent noodle, because this is going to be your thorax. Just a little bit more. Alright. And dub your thorax. Remember, less is more. I always start off fairly thin. Do the backside. And now I'll make some figure eights around it, around the base. Cover that all up. And wrap the front. I'm going to need just a touch more. Alright. Up to the eye, build your head, and whip finisher. Disappeared on me, so I'll use this one. And whip finish. It's not too often that I use head cement on the head of a fly. Every now and then I will, though. And pick the thread. Now, here's the trick. So we've got the whole thing done for the most part, except for wrapping that hackle. Take your fly, take it out of the vise, and invert it 90 degrees. Take your thread, and start your thread on that post. So I said it doesn't matter if you get that hackle all the way up to the top of the post or not, because now we're finishing the rest of the fly on this post. Alright. And try not to jump off and lose everything. Alright, now I wrap up again. Just remember, the more times that you wrap up on this post, the stiffer it's going to be. Don't be afraid to hold the post. That's why I make them extra long. As you can see, it's still flexible, but it's a little bit stiffer with that lacquer on there. Guess you could use Sally Hansen's. You could probably use super glue. That's just the way I do it. Alright, now take your thread, get it out of the way. Now what I do, hold your post and you want to wrap away, or so the stripped part is underneath hitting the post, and you want to go one after another, touching wraps going down. The first few are definitely the hardest. Be a lot easier with a gallows tool, but once you get the first few on there, then it's just easy peasy. Touching wraps all the way down. Yeah, I'm just using a grizzly hackle. Perfect. Now we're down to the bottom. What I do is I take the fibers on the stem and I break them off, or take them off. Grab my thread and catch that stem. Now you can take that thread and or that stem, cut it out. If you have any stragglers like I do there, which doesn't happen too often because I caught a couple. Just trim them out. Alright, now take your whip finisher. And do a whip finish. I only do about a 3, maybe 4 turn. Okay, now before you go all the way, as you can see, I got it half off. Take your lacquer, your Sally Hansen's or whatever you're using, and give the thread a little bit. And finish it up. Don't pull too much, just give it a little tug, snug it up. Cut out your thread. Take your fly out. Put it back in and trim your post to the size that you would like it. And there you have it. Well, I'm trying to get that into focus. Not really working, but I'll take a picture of it anyways. Post it up with this. So, yeah. That's all there is to parachute. Can be a pain, can be fun. Like I said, further down the road I might show you how to do a calf tail. It's basically the exact same thing, except you're using calf tail and standing it. I may even do a no post parachute. Those are always fun. A little bit more complicated, but fun as well. So anyways, have a good one, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.